Several of you know my biggest question about this team is pass rush, but thank goodness we're loaded at linebacker.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Kyle Rush at thebarnauburn.com. He hosts the Top Button podcast, hanging out with us. Happy Charlie Tuesday to all who celebrate. Want to talk about Coleman Hutzler on today's show, as well as, who might be the most sure thing when it comes to edge rushers for Auburn. And then obviously a massive, massive week for Auburn basketball. And that really gets going tonight. We'll touch on all those things on today's show. We heard DJ Durkin talk about this a little bit last week, but Auburn's pass rush situation is interesting. And I've spent the last few days thinking about Coleman Hutzler, because why not? Why wouldn't you think about Coleman Hutzler, former Mississippi State DC? And I do think we kind of forget that he was an SEC defensive coordinator last year. He's now coaching Auburn's edge room, and a room that I still have a bunch of questions on. But Kyle, I think DJ Durkin said something pretty important here, insinuating that, yeah, we've got linebackers that we feel comfortable sending off of the edge. Obviously, Xavier Atkins generated some discussion with that. But to me, I think this is a huge opportunity for Demarcus Riddick, if I really had to boil it down to one guy.
I mean, I couldn't have said it any better, and he was right there. He's got he's got the body type to kind of play both at times. Like in a pinch, he could slide down there and play edge and set the edge and still rush the passer. He's got a golden opportunity, man, because let's just face it, there's not that premier pass rusher on this roster right now that's proven anything. There's plenty of guys that could become that, but there's no I feel like the job's up for grabs. So if they got to get creative and a guy like Demarcus Riddick can find himself on the field more in these type opportunities, we saw it his freshman year, man. He can do it. He can contain, and he can bring that element of speed to really frustrate quarterbacks. And we're going to have to be creative, I feel like, and he would be a great, he'd be a great Swiss Army knife type player that could do a little bit of it all.
Yeah, and I'm going to be honest. I don't even know if I want him to be a Swiss Army knife. I just want him off the edge. If that is what they deem as most appropriate for Demarcus Riddick in this front seven, I have no issue with it at all. And I'm not saying Demarcus Riddick can't play off-ball linebacker, but why? I mean, with Xavier Atkins and Elijah Melendez and Bryce Diaz, and we'll see what happens with this Michael Matthews Canty guy that they brought in. And then we all like Jaquez Wilkes and Shadarius Tootle and Adam Balagoon Ali. I think that room's fine. And if you need to move Riddick to a thinner position, and also, smaller sample sizes as far as what we saw him play an off-ball linebacker role last year, opposed to what he did from the edge as a freshman, different situations. But I know you labeled him as a Swiss Army knife, and athletically, he can absolutely do that. But I do think it's worth asking the question, like, do we need that? Do we need him to do a bunch of things? Or if he is one of Auburn's best pass rushers, let's just say, hey, pin your ears back and go, my guy.
Yeah, we have you got your other linebackers that can be your more traditional guys that you worked so hard to retain. Why not? The only thing I worry about him, I think situationally, unless he bulks up, I think what was he last year? Somewhere around like 225-ish. What's ideal, you think? 240? Like, what's an ideal height?
Yeah, if you're going to be like the stand-up guy, 240, 250. Yeah.
So what does that look like with him? He's got the long frame to be able to support it, in my opinion, and still have that quick twitch. That's the only question mark I would have there. But they've done it before. Like, that happens all the time where guys beef up and they either move down, move inside, all over the place. So you have Elijah Melendez, you have Bryce Diaz, you have Xavier Atkins. You don't play a ton of linebackers anyway nowadays as formation spreads you out. So it's not like you got to have 4 or 5 different guys back there. I don't see a problem if they slide him down. I'm all for it.
Yeah, I also think you could see Bryce Diaz off the edge to some extent too, like in blitzing situations. So I do think those options are there because there's not that sure thing. Do we think Jared Smith is going to be pretty good this year? Yes. And I think the staff thinks that too. I've been told by a lot of folks that the staff really likes Deshaun Womack from the transfer from Ole Miss. I get it. If he's your third guy, I really, really like it. And then obviously there's the questions with Chris Murray, which I haven't heard any update on, but he popped up in a few of those Instagram lives or those TikTok lives, whatever the players are doing. And he's in the background saying War Eagle. And it's like, I guess that's a good thing, but we don't know until there's an official ruling. And it's interesting that we got Dallas Walker, the defensive lineman's ruling fairly quickly. I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing that we haven't really heard anything reported on Chris Murray up to this point.
Yeah. The only thing with that is, to me, Dallas Walker's was so obvious that maybe that's why it came through so quickly, and they're having to really drill down on Murray's because it is a little it's 5 games versus the 4 in that 1 year. So if he comes back, though, it changes everything. The talk about Jared Smith, what is he going to be Buck, or is he going to be like Keldrick Faulk's like replacement? That's what I can't. Is he a 2-point stance, or is he a 3-point stance guy? Like what does he do? What does he look like next year?
I think the assumption is he's going to be your 2-point stance guy. I mean, I think he's going to gain a ton of weight this offseason is my prediction there. Last year's roster had him listed at 260. So, I mean, he's big enough to do that. And if he gains 10, 15 pounds, like, yeah, okay, that's kind of what you want in that spot.
Do you want for the edge position for Buck? You want him at 270? I mean, he was.
No, I'm saying he's probably going to be more of like the end.
The end, yeah. Because Faulk was what 275-ish last year, I think. Yeah, I'm curious to see what they do with him because he was so quick and explosive.
So Keldrick was 6'6", 285. So. And then, let's look at Kieron Crawford.
6'4", 255. I'm looking at it right now.
6'4", 255. So there you go. And I think that's that's a pretty ideal tandem, I think, for strong side end and your main edge guy.
I think so too, from a height weight perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think we never talk about JJ Faulk?
Because we haven't seen him, I would guess.
And when I say
Jared Smith, we saw glimpses of it.
I'm not necessarily talking about me and you or us. I'm just it never feels like there's anything said about him. And I know they like him, but I wonder, could he be one of those that really takes a big step in spring as well, because he's going to have that opportunity. He was behind so many folks last year. It was just redshirt him. There's no reason to. But now, with a seemingly wide open competition, could this be, could the door open for him? I mean, he's already, that size. He's already 6'3-ish, 245. He's basically a clone size-wise of Kieron Crawford. So could this be a spring for him, man? I mean,
it could be. It absolutely could be.
Super athletic. He's got the tools, we'll say.
He's got the tools. Clearly, he's got the genetics. Goodness gracious, with what his brother did. So, I mean, I think some of it might have been some slight questioning about what position is he when he came out. I think he was recruited as a linebacker, and then he got here and he's like, oh, he's with the edge guys. And it's like, all right, and we just didn't see him anything after that. So could he be one of those guys that take a big step forward? Right? I mean, we say it a ton. A big core of this team is true sophomores, and then he's a redshirt freshman, same class, right? Same age.
Yeah. And
so your biggest jump typically is from your freshman year to your sophomore year, or your first year, in his case, freshman year to your redshirt freshman year. So to act like there's, there couldn't be some major step developmentally. Yeah. I mean, it certainly could happen. And you don't need him to be all SEC. You You just need him to be like, can he be a number 3 pass rusher for an SEC program this year? And then can he take that following step the next year? I don't think that's a crazy ask. So I think it's a good question. Yeah. Why are we not hearing anything about him? That's a good question. That is a good question. All right. I want to talk more about the guy who's going to be coaching all of these players, because I think it's an interesting conversation, and it might be one of the more important coaching jobs this offseason. That's next, right here on Locked on Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Mazda. Mazda's moving the game forward for those who show there's more to the score than what's on the screen. As far as what's happening for Auburn basketball, I'll say, goodness gracious, I'm going to say Keyshawn Murphy in his performance against Alabama. I think he did a lot of the dirty work. It just didn't quite turn into a win, but clearly he's getting better and better as the season goes on. We put the same passion into every model. Highlights make the reel. What it took to get there makes it count. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. Today's show also brought to you by our friends at Wayfair. Kyle, can you imagine wanting to spruce up your home and not checking out what Wayfair has to offer?
Just feel like it's wasting money, man.
Wasting money, wasting time, wasting effort. I mean, it just shows up right to your door. You know how much of a pain it is to move furniture? Why do it when you don't have to? Wayfair just pops up at your front door, which is great. Get organized, refreshed, and back on track this year for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That is WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Thank you so much for making Locked on Auburn your first listen every single day. I want to encourage you to join the Everydayer Club. If you haven't already, go to lockedonauburn.supercast.com. For audio listeners, you can get access to an ad-free audio feed. And also you get access to an exclusive Discord where I'm starting to go to more for questions, especially now as the offseason is more and more upon us. So be sure to check that out. Also, more info in the episode description down below. Coleman Hutzler was an SEC defensive coordinator a year ago at Mississippi State. And I don't know how much you can look at what he did from a pass rushing standpoint, or excuse me, what Mississippi State did from a pass rushing standpoint and put it all on him because of the level of competition and all of that as far as what he had access to at Mississippi State. But like, it wasn't good. Like, they were towards the bottom in a lot of things. Mississippi State, as far as tackles for loss, they were last in the conference. And then I think as far as like sacks, they were second to last, if I had that correctly. That doesn't matter though, right? Because he was at Mississippi State last year.
Right.
Okay, that's not a crazy thing to say.
No, I don't think it matters. I'm looking at, I'm more interested in anyway, but at looking at how he performed when he was a position coach, coaching the same position that we're going to ask him to coach. And that was at Alabama. And,
right.
You know, he had guys like Will Anderson and, you know, Dallas Turner, you know, Chris Braswell, like these different linebackers that he helped, you know, become pretty good pass rushers. So
I think he was also handling special teams when he was doing that too.
He was. Yes. Yeah. So I'm sure there's like 4 or 5 coaches on staff that have special teams experience too. Like, I don't even know exactly who the special teams guy 100% is going to be.
I mean, if Auburn has better special teams than they did a year ago, I mean, Auburn wins 2 or 3 more games potentially. Special teams were just so bad.
Oh, they were
during
terrible.
their Hugh Freeze era. It was abysmal.
Jacob Bernowski, it says he is only listed as special teams coordinator.
Cool.
So there you go.
Cool.
But
Sounds
Larry
like
Porter's coached it. Larry Porter's coached it.
Right.
Coleman Hutzler's coached it. A lot of those guys have.
Yep. So curious to see like what he does from an individual level, because I mean, you think about the jump that Will Anderson took over his time at Alabama. Well, I mean, he was a top 3 or 4 pick, if I remember correctly. So can Jared Smith be that? This guy has worked with guys that have been great recently and taken big jumps early in their collegiate careers. Can Jared Smith be that guy? Can JJ Faulk be that guy? Because I think a lot of the top end, best case scenarios are people taking steps forward. And obviously coaching is going to be a big, big part of that. And Coleman Hutzler, the edge coach, will be a big part of that. Is his individual coaching of that position group the most important individual position group as far as coaching goes and development being needed right away going throughout spring? Because I think it is.
Yeah. The only other one that I could maybe throw in there would be DeMarcus Van Dyke.
I was going to say DVD is second.
I think DVD's second. But yeah, you're going to have to be able to rush the passer because I think you are going to maybe on paper take a step back at corner. So you're going to have to get that clock going up, get that quarterback clock ticking a lot faster. So, and then you don't have we're kind of echoing it, but you don't have that proven production yet. So yeah, you're going to have to take what you have and create something, whether that be changing a position or taking what you have and making it better. I'm with you. I think he's going to have I think he's easily got the toughest job or the most important job.
Yeah, I think it's the most important. I don't know if it'd be toughest. I'm trying to think if there's a big difference between the two.
I think there's a lot of talent. That's the thing. There's a lot of, it's not like they're taking a bunch of, what do you call it? Like diamonds in the rough. Like you're not taking a bunch of just nobodies and trying to create something out of nothing. Like there's some good clay there to work with. Toughest, maybe offensive line would be the toughest. But
I think I agree.
But most important, I think, is without a doubt Coleman Hutsler.
I think tight end might be tough too.
Yeah,
just because so much is demanded of that position, there's gonna be a lot of teaching there.
Yeah, but have you seen this? Have you ever seen Coleman's his wiki page?
No.
He had a hairdo, man. It looks like his playing position when he was in college at Middlebury. Oh. It's awesome.
Okay. Awesome.
Look that up when you get a chance.
Who would you say is the most sure thing? Like, which guy are you most confident in based on our our perception already of their abilities? Womack, Nate Johnson, Jared Smith, Joe Phillips, JJ Faulk, and Chris Wells. Like, I think Jared Smith will be the best guy in the room, but I don't know if he's the surest thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah. To me, though, he does feel like the surest thing, I guess, because I don't know much about the others. Like, we're fired up about Womack, but it's like, man, he was a 5-star, but he never really got to be the guy.
Yeah, I mean, he was just a piece. He's
always been just a piece.
Yeah.
And Jared Smith was a piece last year, but boy, whenever he goes in, just things happen. Go back to even high school.
It's kind of like when Riddick was a freshman. It's just like when he was on the field, it's like, yeah, something happened. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Jared Smith's the most sure thing to me.
Yeah. I mean, that might be just how we define it. Like, I think Womack is the most sure thing, but I think Jared Smith is likely to be the best, but there is some assumption caked into that.
Yeah.
But
I get it.
I don't know. Interesting conversation. What do y'all think? Let us know. Massive week for Auburn basketball. Goodness gracious. They need to win tonight. That's next right here on Locked on Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at TurboTax. You and I were talking about taxes before we went on. It's not fun. There's so many different questions going on. When you have a TurboTax local expert that you're working with directly, you don't have to worry about that stuff. With TurboTax full service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or the guesswork. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done for just $150 all in. If a TurboTax expert did not file for you last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit turbotax.com/local to book your appointment today. Thank you so much for making Locked on Auburn your first listen every single day. The Auburn Tigers host a Vanderbilt team that, I'm going to be honest, like, I'm not entirely sure who Vandy is. And I feel like we do this every other opponent for whoever Auburn faces in SEC play. I think Vandy almost is like the poster child for this conference as far as like, who are you?
Yeah.
Who is each of these teams in the SEC? It's just like from day in and day out, it's just like it changes based on the game. So obviously Vandy coming to Neville. Stephen Pearl asked, hopefully we get another sellout tonight. Everybody really appreciates it. The loss to Alabama definitely put some pressure on this. And then they turn around after this and they go on the road to Fayetteville against a ranked Arkansas team that they embarrassed a few weeks ago. And so you just kind of got to feel like Arkansas has this one circled, a little bit of payback. They need to win tonight, Kyle. They need to win against a ranked Vanderbilt team.
Gosh, I know this gets cliche, but I do feel like treading on must-win territory.
Okay.
You've lost 2 in a row, and now you're back at that. We're back at even, basically. Like if you win out at home, or if when you lose out on the road, you finish 500. So you're back even. But man, at home you got Kentucky still, and you got there was another tough one, Kentucky and Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt and Kentucky are 2 of those. Then you play Ole Miss and LSU. So it's like, bro, if you lose this one, if you don't go 1-1 this week, you're going to be in a bind.
It gets a little tricky. Yeah.
Yeah. And you said Vanderbilt, like, boy, they can, it really does feel like they can beat anybody, and then they'll turn around and lose then in the exact same fashion. They remind me, honestly, like of maybe not quite as much tempo Alabama. So I don't know. Do we figure out a way with our defense with our guards? Have we figured out anything to help slow down those dribble drives and getting beat off the ball to the basket?
You gotta hope so. I mean, I don't think they're as explosive as Alabama is.
No.
I don't think they're going to go on a few of those runs like we saw Alabama do on Saturday. But, man, with the way teams have shot the 3 against us, and at this point in the season, we can't say it's like, oh, it's just teams getting hot. It's perimeter defense for Auburn at this point. Like, I don't know how I can feel super confident going up against anybody at this point as far as defending the 3. So if you're going to do that, you got to be able to score. And I do think Auburn can score with Vanderbilt if that's the way this game chooses to develop.
Sure. There's another concern I have, and it's just depth. I mean, we essentially only played 7 guys on Saturday. You had 5 guys, and I say 5. Murphy only played 27 minutes. So, I mean, basically 30 minutes. You had 5 guys play 30 or more minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That's tough. That's tough to have that uphold that defensive intensity, for 40 minutes. It just makes it so, especially with the type of defense that we run with the, man switch, that, you're just constantly moving versus a zone where you're kind of just standing in an area. They're just constantly running. I just wonder how deep can this team go? I mean, how deep can they go if you're in that a big battle like that late in a game? It's just something, man, they're going to just have to continue to deal with and find solutions for, because there's not like more guys showing up at any point in time.
No. And I think that's a little bit of a double-edged sword, because when they went on that run a few weeks ago where we all started to kind of believe again, Steven shortened his bench and he put the best guys on the floor and they played more minutes and they won. Yeah, and then there's going to be times where you play against, a fast-paced style or a physical style, right? When you look at Tennessee, and then, a faster style when you look at Alabama, where it did wear them down. And you could tell those last few minutes, it's like, man, they're giving everything they got. There's just not much left in the tank, especially at certain positions. Like when you look at the guards, 40 minutes into the game, and there's not a whole lot, like people are saying like bench to hot or whatever. And it's like, you can't do it.
Yeah. What do you do?
Yeah.
Who
do you put in? Right. So not an ideal situation roster wise for Steven. And I was talking about this elsewhere, but like the lack of ideal roster situation is not what we expected. I was very concerned about the size, and Murphy has blown me away. I think he's been great. The or significantly better than I expected. The point guard, like going into the season, people are saying like we misevaluated him. Like, no, like you had to resign and bring back Tahad Pettiford. We all agree like how big that was. And we all felt so good about Magwood. And so I don't know what Steven's supposed to do at point guard. Like, I don't think he like drastically, both of those made sense. It wasn't like he was taking a risk on either guy, you know?
The silver lining could be, though, Tahad did score 25 points. He did score 25 points on Saturday. He
the last 4 minutes was not great.
Correct. He did a lot of things, though, that looked a little bit more like the Tahad. So that's just something you can't really plan for. Like, how do you plan for a guy just being cold offensively for a whole season almost? Maybe if Auburn scores 92 points a game, they're going to beat a lot of folks. Like,
you're right.
I understand they gave up 96, but there's not many teams that can score in bunches like Alabama does, especially as quick as they do. So maybe the silver lining it could be that. We're looking at a guy like Tahad, if he's turning the corner, you know, he did wear a headband. Could that be the secret? You know, just wear a headband from now on, and maybe you'll score 25 points a game.
If I'm him, I'm trying it. There's no way I'm not wearing a headband tonight.
Yeah.
All right, Kyle, how can people check out everything you've got going on?
Absolutely. Go to thebarnauburn.com. Sign up today. It's a message board. Jump in the conversation. We're actually talking about this right now on the board. So jump in that. The Barn Auburn on YouTube or the Barn Podcast Network, anywhere you get a podcast.
Please like the video. Please subscribe. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked on Auburn.